Right now, as you watch this video, the universe is sending you a signal, not through your phone, not through social media, through something far more ancient, far more powerful. Most people miss it entirely. They're too busy, too distracted, too convinced that coincidences are just coincidences. But what if I told you that philosophers throughout history discovered something extraordinary? Reality itself is constantly communicating with us through patterns, moments, and encounters that seem random but are actually invitations. Today, you're going to learn to read the universe's secret language. More importantly, you're going to discover why acting on these signals immediately could transform everything. Over 2,500 years ago, a Greek philosopher named Heraclitus stood by a river and made a startling observation. "No man steps in the same river twice," he said, "for it is not the same river, and he is not the same man." Heraclitus wasn't just talking about water. It was revealing something profound about reality itself. That everything is in constant flux, constantly changing, and in that change, there are signals, messages, opportunities. He called it logos, the hidden order beneath apparent chaos, the invisible thread connecting all things. But here's what most people don't realize. This thread isn't passive. It's actively trying to guide us. Fast forward to the 19th century. Friedrich Nietzsche, pacing the mountains of Switzerland, discovered something that would shake philosophy forever. He called it amor fati, love of fate. But Nietzsche went deeper. He proposed that we don't just accept what happens to us. We become active participants in creating our destiny. The secret signal isn't just about noticing. It's about responding. It's about becoming the author of your own transformation. Carl Jung, the pioneering psychologist, gave this phenomenon a name that changed everything: synchronicity. But Jung's definition was revolutionary. These aren't just meaningful coincidences. They're moments when the outer world mirrors your inner psychological state. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how when you're struggling with a decision, you suddenly start seeing the same number everywhere? Or when you're questioning a relationship, you overhear strangers having the exact conversation you need to hear? Jung discovered that our unconscious mind is constantly processing information our conscious mind misses. The universe's signals aren't coming from some mystical source. They're emerging from the intersection of your deepest awareness and reality's infinite patterns. But here's where most people make a crucial mistake. They notice the signal and then they wait. They analyze. They doubt. They convince themselves it's just a coincidence. Soren Kierkegaard, the father of existentialism, understood this perfectly. He wrote about the leap of faith, not religious faith, but the courage to act on incomplete information. The willingness to trust that meaningful action creates meaning. So what do these signals actually look like in your daily life? Let me show you. Sarah is making her morning coffee when she notices the steam forming what looks like a question mark. Normally, she'd dismiss it, but today, something makes her pause. She's been avoiding a difficult conversation with her partner for weeks. Instead of scrolling through her phone, she walks into the living room and starts the conversation she's been avoiding. 6 months later, she'll tell you that moment changed her relationship forever. David is walking to a job he hates when he notices a small bird repeatedly landing on the same street sign. The sign says, "Creative Avenue." For most people, it's background noise. But David has been secretly writing a novel for 2 years. That afternoon, he submits his first chapter to a publisher. Not because a bird told him to, but because the moment crystallized something he already knew, but was afraid to act on. These aren't supernatural interventions. They're moments when your unconscious wisdom aligns with external circumstances to create windows of opportunity. The signal isn't the event itself. It's your recognition of its significance. But here's the crucial part that most people miss. These signals have an expiration date, not because the universe stops sending them, but because your psychological readiness to receive them is temporary. The existentialist philosophers understood this perfectly. Jean-Paul Sartre wrote that we are condemned to be free, meaning every moment presents us with the responsibility to choose who we become. When you recognize a signal, that moment of perfect clarity where external events mirror your internal truth, you have a window, a brief period where action feels natural, almost inevitable. Wait too long, and doubt creeps in. You start analyzing, questioning, making excuses. The signal becomes just another interesting coincidence. You tell friends about at parties. Nietzsche had a concept called the eternal return, the idea that you should live as if you'd have to repeat every decision infinitely. When viewed through this lens, recognizing and acting on signals becomes not just opportunity, but responsibility. Because here's what philosophers discovered that psychology later confirmed. Meaning isn't found in events themselves. Meaning is created through conscious response to events. The signal isn't asking you to believe in destiny. It's asking you to create it. Modern neuroscience has revealed something remarkable about how these signals work. Your brain processes roughly 11 million bits of information every second, but your conscious mind can only handle about 40. The other 10,999,960 bits? They're being processed by your unconscious mind, looking for patterns, connections, significance. When something in your environment matches a pattern, your unconscious recognizes as important. It sends an alert to your conscious mind. That's why the signal often feels like the object or event is suddenly highlighted, as if someone turned on a spotlight. Your brain literally is highlighting it, marking it as significant based on deep pattern recognition you're not consciously aware of. The key is learning to trust this process instead of dismissing it. Your unconscious mind has access to information your conscious mind doesn't. It's constantly running simulations, calculating probabilities, recognizing opportunities. So here's your challenge. For the next 24 hours, I want you to become a signal detector, not in a superstitious way, but in a philosophically aware way. Pay attention to moments when external events seem to comment on your internal state. When you're thinking about making a change, and suddenly you overhear exactly the conversation you need to hear. When you're doubting a decision, and you encounter exactly the information that clarifies everything. But here's the crucial part. When you recognize a signal, act immediately. Don't analyze it to death. Don't wait for a better time. Don't convince yourself you're being irrational. Remember Kierkegaard's leap of faith? Remember Nietzsche's amor fati? Remember Jung's synchronicity? These aren't mystical concepts. They're practical philosophies for engaging consciously with realities hidden. Patterns, the universe isn't sending you signals because it has a plan for you. The universe is sending you signals because you have a plan for yourself, and you're finally awake enough to notice the support that's always been there. The secret signal isn't secret anymore. It's the voice of your deepest wisdom, speaking through the language of circumstance. It's been calling to you your entire life. The question isn't whether you'll receive the signal. The question is whether you'll finally have the courage to act on it. The time is now. The signal is clear. Your transformation is waiting. The universe is speaking. Are you finally ready to listen and leap?